Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
Don Le Batard.
The Dolphins drafted Tunsil, played him at guard, let go of Brandon Albert, who was bought to replace Chris Long, who was taken with the number one. Up, damn it.
Jake Long.
Damn it.
It's all right, man.
Cost me $1.
Stugotz.
That's pretty egregious. I don't know. Should have just
It's his brother. Well, how is that egregious?
That's super egregious because they are not related.
Wow. That's a $5 fine right there,
okay.
right out of the gates.
Chris Long?
You confused Chris Long
and
with
Howie,
the offensive lineman from Chicago. That's actually his brother.
So the correction made it worse. I should have just shut up.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We're going to get to some fairly amazing sound here in a second. It is, right, Stugotz? You and I were talking about during the break. The sound itself isn't amazing. What is being said here, given what we've been through on this story, is fairly amazing.
Yeah, we're not overselling this. It is, I wouldn't even say fairly amazing. It is completely amazing and insane.
All right, so here is Brian Cashman, the general manager of the New York Yankees, on the Michael Kay show. He is talking about Alex Rodriguez and whether or not Alex Rodriguez was considered as manager for the Yankees. And Which is it's an insane question. It's an insane question.
Michael Kay flat out asked him, "Did you ever consider A-Rod for? Did you talk to A-Rod about being the next Yankees manager?"
No more. We can't give any more. Let's just play this out.
I reached out to Alex. The first phase of this process was putting together a preliminary potential list. So I did reach out to Alex and ask him if he had any ideas, and any suggestions and things of that nature. And he never volunteered himself. And believe me, I got a lot of people that reached out and asked to be considered. And, you couldn't interview everybody. And over, engaging Alex on a few occasions, obviously not once did he volunteer like he might have an interest in this. And, I heard from other people that he wouldn't be interested in it. Certainly, he did not provide, that opportunity that he wanted to be considered. So,
the look on
what world am I living in?
It sounds like he could have been manager if he wanted to be.
It's like Cashman's like, well, he didn't bring it up, and I didn't want to insult him by offering him the job. Like these people were fighting over his salary and banned him from the sport for a year. And now he dates J-Lo and everybody wants him back. And, hey, I know Brian Cashman is the single most powerful voice you've heard in the Yankee organization. And when he needs advice, where does he go? What? Wait, what? Weren't they fighting in the press for like 2 years?
They did not like each other.
Over his salary and over whether or not he should ever be allowed to play for the Yankees again?
Cashman took so many shots, passive-aggressive shots.
No, and aggressive shots.
They forced him out 2 years ago. He didn't get to really retire.
What?
How?
What?
They announced he wasn't playing anymore.
I don't understand. What would be the comparable? Okay, again, we've never seen a public scandal quite like that one in the sport. Pedro Gomez was chasing that greasy Anthony Bosch through parking lots.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the Miami clinics. Like, everybody discovered that all we've got down here are places that will sell you pharmaceutical drugs, youth enhancements, penile enhancements. We'll put some concrete, fix-a-flat in your butt if you want to have a larger butt. And also, if you want to get a bunch of steroids and, have a lot of home runs, we're the place to go. And then they run him out of the sport. Everyone howling his name in disgrace. He goes from that sweater interview with Peter Gammons that was stiff to all sorts of apologies all over the place.
They're paying him to not play this year.
Rich, of course. How much? $27 million?
I think a little less, 24.
Yeah, well, I guess they might as well get something for their money.
It's consultant.
I guess that's his consulting fee. That when Cashman needs advice, he checks in with A-Rod.
Oh, I would have loved to have heard that negotiation about his salary as manager. Well, we already got you on the books for $27 million this year, Alex. How much more do you want?
Alex, we're already paying you. We're looking to cut costs. Would you mind just doing this for us? You'll be the highest. People will pay you 3 times more than Belichick.
How did A-Rod arrive here?
Right. That again. I think I answered this before with the.
I can't come up with a good comparable.
I mean, I'm speechless.
If Lane Kiffin
I'm
ended
trying to say things, and I don't understand this story. Like, this isn't Aaron Boone calling Alex Rodriguez for advice. This is the top power in the Yankee organization who was feuding with A-Rod and trying to get him banned from the sport. Just call him, hey, A-Rod, who should our manager be? Any suggestions? Calling him multiple times.
Yep. Wondering why A-Rod is not offering up his services.
I feel like those 10 years that I was watching A-Rod's name go down in flames, like they never happened.
Hey, Alex, it's Brian. Really need an answer here. I don't even know if you're interested. Would like to move on with this stuff. You call back when you can. He's desperate. He's desperate to hear back from Alex.
Would have been the right hire.
Well, can someone explain this to me, though? What would be the comparable, right? Because I don't want to go off into serious actual crimes like Ray Carruth and O.J. Simpson, but what would be the comparable what position would I have to give someone like Barry Bonds or Lance Armstrong for you to be like, wait a minute, what?
Well, is it Pete Rose? Is it Pete Rose? Give Pete Rose a Hall of Fame vote, a texter is saying.
I
don't know.
I thought you were really mad at this guy.
Yeah, I guess if Lane Kiffin ended up back at Tennessee, that would kind of be comparable. We are kind of seeing it right now in Cleveland, where everybody was kicking Josh Gordon when he was down. The comments that they had were kind of shocking and dismissive, and he shows up and he's their starter, and everybody's glowing about him.
Look.
But Josh Gordon can still do things on the field that will, have fans forgive what he did in years past.
Yeah, but look
A-Rod,
back, they flatly said he was done with the organization.
Right, I guess, yeah.
Speaking of Josh Gordon, would like to take a moment here, because I know people only talk about the Cleveland Browns to make fun of the Cleveland Browns. But I would like to marvel for a moment at the season Josh Gordon had for the Cleveland Browns, while high all the time with those quarterbacks.
It's pretty amazing.
He led the league in receiving for the Cleveland bleeping Browns when he was the only player they had. And who were the quarterbacks on that team? I wonder what kind. Was it just Whedon? It was Whedon and somebody else.
Whedon is where he did most of his damage with, which is just absurd.
I want people to, Mike, you look up the quarterbacks, but I want people to understand what Dan is saying here, because he only did it in 14 games. 14 games on the Cleveland Browns.
Listen to what I'm saying here, okay? I saw Randy Moss is the greatest receiver I've ever seen. And Randy Moss, when he was in Oakland, was held to a mere 1,000-yard season because the greatest receiver I've ever seen didn't have help at quarterback. What did Josh Gordon do for the Cleveland Browns while high?
Yep.
With which quarterback?
In just 14 games. Mike will get the quarterbacks. 14 games he played. He had 87 catches, 1,646 yards. He had 9 touchdowns. He averaged 19 yards per reception on that team in 14 games.
Think about what we're saying there.
Jason Campbell started 9 games, played in 9 games that season. Brandon Whedon played in 8 games that season. Brian Hoyer played in 3 games. It's a mishmash of a poo-poo platter.
That is a poo-poo platter, my friend. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Are those 3 names, Jason Campbell, Brandon Whedon, and Brian Hoyer, yes, a poo-poo platter
of quarterbacks?
And by the way, he hadn't played since 2014. Dropped him into the NFL against one of the better cornerbacks in the league in Hayward, 4 for 85.
So good.
What is happening there? Again, I will say this again for those of you, because Josh Gordon has been on the interview tour of honesty. He was high during all of this.
That was his first NFL game sober, according to him, on Sunday. That was his first time playing sober.
That might be one of the most amazing athletic feats in the history of sports, what you just described, doing for that team and those quarterbacks, those numbers.
Yep.
While high.
14 games, not even an entire season.
14 games! 14 games!
I mean, if those are your quarterbacks, you can understand why you played an entire season high.
Yes, well, that too. Yeah. And left the league. I left the league to just be with the high. Wait a minute, I could be with just the high and not the quarterbacks?
Hoyer or the high?
All right. I'm going to go high.
Don Lebatard.
See how quick he is at slithering around things?
Good.
Like, yeah, you are good. You are a master liar.
Stugotz.
Like, you are a genius liar. You are like the Einstein of liars.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
What's been my greatest mistake today? Was it calling Lane Kiffin Les Miles while introducing him? Or, I mean, I've done a number of things wrong today.
The Adam Thielen, Case Keenum one.
Right.
I'm not certain which one.
There's only two.
Those are the two Hall of Famers today?
Yeah, you've had several mistakes today, but those are the only two worth considering.
Guillermo, can you put this on the poll, please, at Lebatard Show? Do you know what Case Keenum's face looks like? Because here's what happened to me. Because I know what Thielen looks like, although I will admit that I just learned this year what Thielen looks like. I didn't learn until this year. He looks a little bit haggard. He doesn't look the part, and I'm not saying that because he's a white guy at wide receiver. I'm saying on top of that, his face doesn't exactly give off the height of white athleticism.
You can't argue that you know what Adam Thielen looks like when you were looking at an image of him and you thought it was Case Keenum.
I mean, nobody cares about the details on this, and all of it's excuse making. Look, the bottom line is that it happened on the radio, and it's unforgivable. I said Randy Moss was interviewing Case Keenum when he was interviewing Adam Thielen. However, the reason that happened is because I'm looking at a television that's above me that's got lights in front of it, and so I'm not seeing the full faces of people. What I'm telling you is I saw half a fat face. Nothing matters.
That's not going to work.
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
I've got
sorry,
lights.
man.
But look, Stugotz, you're the only one who's in here with me, so you're the one who can say, you can speak to, there are lights in here that would prevent me from seeing someone's full face.
There are. I'm seeing Max Kellerman just fine on the TV.
I'm seeing the bottom half of Max Kellerman's face. Regardless, I don't know. I don't have a good grip on what Case Keenum looks like anyway. I just assumed if it was an undersized fat guy and his face looked fat, that would be Case Keenum.
I am looking at both their faces right now. This is the first time I've seen either of their two faces. And in a vacuum, I would say that Thielen looks more like the career backup quarterback, and Keenum actually looks like the stud white wide receiver.
They're also very similar. They look actually pretty similar. And now that I'm looking at Max Kellerman looks similar to Thielen and to Case Keenum.
He certainly does from my angle.
He really does.
From my angle, he certainly does.
He's the Venn diagram in between.
So, speaking of video that is funny, did you see what Odell Beckham did on his Instagram page that got 1,600,000 views?
No, what'd he do?
He put up a video. And as far as I can tell, Mike, you help me because you know I'm not social media savvy because I'm becoming more and more fossilized every day. But I don't think there are any other comments by Odell Beckham. He let the videos speak for themselves. And what was spliced together was a bunch of reactions of Tom Brady getting emotional and yelling at people or getting mad, spliced in with a bunch of Odell Beckham doing the same thing.
I'm watching it now.
And it is a poignant, it's a little bit of a piece of art. Now, some things are missing, some context is missing, right? I mean, you don't see Tom Brady lifting his leg up and urinating in the end zone, and you don't see Tom Brady, fighting or getting engaged to a kicking net.
I also don't see 5 rings on Beckham's hand.
He did put a caption, goat emoji, chasing, go chasing.
Okay. But it was interesting to see them all spliced together because Tom Brady behaves like Odell Beckham when he gets emotional. And one of the differences is actually more of an indictment of Brady because in none of these videos do you see Odell Beckham yelling at an authority figure. And that's all you see Brady doing. Brady is yelling at his offensive coordinator in half of these videos, screaming at him, just getting in his face, baring his teeth.
I don't care what he says about goat chasing. He is clearly making a point there. He is clearly pointing out.
It's a good point.
Yes, it's a great point.
It is a good point, and we talk about this all the time. It's all over the place in sports where stuff like that gets confused. Because you can't look at the video that Odell Beckham put up and say there's any difference in the way those two human beings are behaving about things. Like, it's actually artfully done. When Odell Beckham is swinging a right arm angry, it morphs into Tom Brady doing the same thing. But Tom Brady's the only one there yelling at coaches.
Well, I was going to say, actually, you can. There is a big difference. Beckham is yelling at just air, space, people, fans, teammates, himself. Brady is consistently yelling at his coaches.
It's a truly great editing job done by Odell Beckham.
Yes.
All this time off, he's perfected his
right, because it is
MacBook Pro.
I've often said documentaries aren't truth. They're just the documentarian's version of the truth. This was absolutely spliced to make Odell Beckham look good and Tom Brady look bad. Like, if Tom Brady were making this video, Tom Brady would put all the things in of him yelling and then splice it in with the worst Odell Beckham behavior, which is Odell Beckham, just doing extraordinarily selfish things. This is good, artful work by documentarian Odell Beckham to skew some of the truth by showing you convenient facts.
Put the Josh Norman game up there, which, by the way, Josh Norman, Odell Beckham, that was Crabtree-Talib before Crabtree-Talib, and that was the talking point on a Wednesday. Oh, how could this be football?
Did anyone get suspended?
No, I don't think so. But we were talking like it should.
Well, but do you think the Talib?
Oh.
Yes, thank you. Guillermo, can you put it on the poll? I heard you the first time. Can you put it on the poll, Guillermo?
This isn't my football.
Who is that? Is that an old woman clutching her purse? What is it? What does the old woman look like? Is it Barbara Bush? It's Barbara Bush, isn't it? It's Barbara Bush, and she is aghast. And what is she aghast by? What happened?
Whoa! Like Josh Norman's fighting with Odell Beckham.
He stole his chain again. No. Okay. So, but was that fight? I asked this question genuinely. Talib versus Crabtree. Guillermo put it on the poll. Yes or no? Was that bad for football? Yes or no?
Bad that they stopped it.
I don't think it's really bad for football. This is the space that the NFL is trafficking in, and it's a difficult one as a marketing thing. But, Stugotz, as you see today, Roger Goodell is getting a $40 million contract, $40 million per year contract extension, 5 years, $200 million reportedly. And he's doing so in the middle of all of this stuff that has eaten up the news stream. And so I ask you again, is this bad for the league? Is the idea that they had an incredibly violent game Monday night? I do think that this, as a marketing strategy,
I don't think it's bad for the league.
There's some brilliance in it.
Would we have talked about that Monday night game if that stuff didn't happen?
There is some brilliance in the idea of, here we have this incredibly dangerous, violent thing. It's like a futuristic game show. It feels like, what was that Richard Dawson, Running Man, where Richard Dawson was, it feels like a futuristic game show, where management, Jerry Jones and Goodell and everyone else, they are all making all of this money, and they're wringing their hands at the idea of this league is out of control. We've got to control all of these guys who are kneeling and fighting and getting concussed. We got to control all of this. Is it so bad that it looks like it's out of control? Is it really so bad? Like, we'll punish it, and we'll look like we're in control of Crabtree and Talib because you can't have more violence. We've already got our choreographed violence.
Act like we care, but
but it's not like if you got these guys in an honest moment and said, if you got the owners in a room, all of them in a room, and said, this fight right here, is this bad for the league? Do you think Jerry Jones is saying yes? Jerry Jones.
Absolutely not. I don't think any of them are.
Well, some of them might, just because they
really.
Well, I mean, the Rooney family, our beloved football. I think you heard from them earlier in the segment.
No, Dan Le Batard.
I feel terrible.
Here's the thing with you You don't actually feel terrible.
I didn't feel a thing, to be honest with you. I don't really care.
I know. You announcing I feel terrible is just your way to move on to the next terrible thing you're going to do.
Stugotz.
They're just words, and words mean nothing to you.
They don't mean nothing. His words mean nothing.
Words are just transitions to your next lie.
That's so right. They're not words. They are bridges to lies.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So, you may be wondering to yourself, Chris Sims, why does this show fall in love with him? How did that happen? Well, it happened because he announced that Blake Bortles was the 70th best quarterback in professional football. And then we got to thinking, got to talking to him, and we signed a 70-day contract where Chris Sims is going to be on with us for 70 days, an NFL analyst for Bleacher Report and the host of the Sims and Lefko podcast. And he has so far ranked the quarterbacks thusly. He gave us a bonus, 71, Cody Kessler, 70, Blake Bortles. Number 69 is Austin Davis. Number 68 is T.J. Yates. Cardale Jones is number 67. And now, is everybody ready?
Yeah,
everybody's ready.
I think we are.
Yes,
Chris Sims.
Hold on.
From, all right, everybody slow down.
I have to write it down.
Everyone, Chris Sims from Bleacher Report and the host of the Sims and Lefko podcast says the 66th best quarterback in professional football is...
Dun, 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 dun. It's Brandon Whedon of the Tennessee Titans.
Wow, man.
All right.
Wow.
Number 66.
Whedon, better than Bortles.
Brandon Whedon. All right. This is very exciting. I can't wait to do it for 65 more days. Mike Ryan, play for Chris Sims, please, the sound of Aaron Rodgers telling us that story about Kyle Vanden Bosch. And Sims, while he's telling this story, you think of a story like this in your past. I hope you have one like this.
Kyle was a very good player for a number of years. He used to wear red contacts, which was he didn't need because he was already teetered on the edge of insanity. So I remember, one time he got me, and he was kind of, he wasn't getting off me. He's like, "I got you good." I'm like, "He hit me in the head, though." He goes, "No way." I was like, "No, I think it's going to be a penalty." He goes, "No." I got you. Also, another play involving him, we ran a 7-man protection. He looped from his end, and our fullback kind of blasted him a little bit. He wasn't looking, so Kyle thought it was a cheap shot. And instead of getting up and chasing the play down, he chased the fullback down and ended up running a route out to the right. It was like, "I'll kill you. I'll kill you."
That's what I want from my football. I want everyone to be Vanden Bosch. Like, let it go. Let him wear eye patches and swing those spike balls from sticks.
It's the perfect name, Vanden Bosch, and it's great storytelling by Rodgers.
All right, so Sims, do you have anything like that? Anybody who chased you around and just seemed kind of crazy?
Well, listen, there's a lot of crazy guys. Vanden Bosch, I played with him. I was on that Tennessee Titans team, and even as a backup quarterback, he wore those red contacts during practice, and I was scared of him. So I'll say that much. I mean, nobody wanted to mess with like that crazy guy in the locker room. So if he wanted to turn the stereo down, nobody argued when he turned the music down. My stories, my two things have jumped out to me just about crazy guys on the field. Like Ray Lewis, for one, is one of them, because Ray Lewis, we're playing them Week 1, 2006 season, and, I'm nervous in the huddle. I'm sitting there going, damn, it's the Baltimore Ravens, it's Ed Reed, and it's Haloti Ngata, and it's Suggs, and it's Ray Lewis, and I look over at the other side, and we're sitting at a TV timeout, and Ray Lewis is over there dancing and singing. And I'm just going, damn, he's not scared at all. And he's yelling football time. And a few plays into the game, I realize he's got a great beat on our offense. He's took it all season he studied it hard. Oh, no. And he's calling out run plays before I'm saying set hike, and he's calling them where they're going. And I'm literally in like blue 85, blue 80, and he's going, "They're running right here," and he's pointing exactly where we're running. And I'm going, damn, poor Michael Pittman, set hut, and I'm just sticking out my head going, I hope he's okay.
Poor Pittman.
No audible, just here, Pittman.
Sorry, I don't
No audible. We were too deep into the snap count at that point, and we got it offside. So Michael Pittman, he lifted a lot of weights, and that came in handy for those collisions.
All right, very good. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Sims. Excellent work by you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, be good, guys. See ya.
I mean, we're going to get a story like that every time.
Didn't he say he had two of those?
Yeah, we'll get that other one. Remind me to get the other one tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, he did say
unless he's still there.
Unless he's there, we can get the other one right now.
Are you still there, Sims?
I'm here.
You
I'm here.
Yeah, you had two, right?
Yeah, my other guy, it was Zach Thomas. Of course, you know him from Miami, but he was the same way. Zach was like a quarterback on the defense. He would call out plays just like Ray Lewis, and it's really the same story, but so many times I'd be underneath the center in preseason games or a regular season game in 2005, and he'd call out the play before I gave the ball to the running back, and I just used to go, damn, it sucks to be a running back. Right. Holy cow, you got to deal with that, but it wasn't as good as that first story. That was it.
Okay, all right, we shouldn't have brought you back.
Yes.
All right, first time we regret doing that. All right, very good. We should have just let you go. Yeah. Thank you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
All right.
Stugotz, I want to get back to what it is that we were talking about.
Dan, I need Kyle Vanden Bosch on this show immediately.
We need to get Kyle Vanden Bosch on the show. You can't play those stories enough. But when I tell you, look, I want you to think of football instead of this pure thing draped in the American flag. I want you to think of it as a combination of Mad Max and Gladiator. And now, I want to tell you that Kyle Vanden Bosch is roaming the premises. And so you've got the artful Aaron Rodgers being a majestic artist and court jester running away from the insanely mad Kyle Vanden Bosch. And them arguing at the bottom of a pile where I got you, but you hit me in the head. No, I didn't. Like, I want football to be that. And sometimes you're going to have Crabtree and Talib get into a fight. And sometimes Josh Norman and Des Bryant. It's like in Mad Max. Sometimes somebody's going to throw a boomerang, not know how to use it. They're going to raise their hand up in the air, and 4 fingers are going to be lost. And all the other guys are going to, all the other Vanden Bosches are going to grab their bellies and laugh that that guy lost 4 fingers. Why? Because what we're watching on Sunday is totally insane.
Don Le Batard.
Did you know that Jose Canseco's finger fell off during a poker game?
We did a good show today, man.
68% of the audience said no. That's all we got today.
Is that all?
Our job is done.
Stugotz.
That's a quality program we put together.
Good job, everyone.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz is going to update the polls in a second here. Very good show today.
Yeah.
No thanks to me. I want to ask you, though, this question, Stugotz, this conversation, this hypothetical we were discussing before, where we've got all the owners in a room, all of them, and you ask them honestly, the fights and the violence of the last 2 weeks, as you symbolically extend your commissioner with a big raise for 5 years because you're happy with the job he's doing.
Right.
Violence in your league is a problem. And you ask them, guys, is this really bad for the league? It's pretty good for our league to be thought of as dangerous and threatening, and you never know what's going to happen, and it's unpredictable, and we're trying to control the chaos, but sometimes the chaos is going to spill over the sidelines. And so Mike Ryan was doing his Barbara Bush grab her purse sound.
Moo!
Like rosary bead clutching. Mm-hmm. So when I said to you, Jerry Jones is fine with that. Jerry Jones likes the circus. Jerry Jones doesn't mind the attention, but not everyone in that room has the sensibilities of Jerry Jones. So this is what I ask you. Can you tell by the name whether or not these people have the sensibilities that they would say to themselves, the violence, look, it's not great, but it's not bad for our league. People like that it's violent and it's dangerous. Are you ready?
Yep.
Which camp do you think the Maras are in?
Oh, can't stand the violence.
What about the Yorks?
The Yorks can't stand the violence.
How many of these are there where I could do this? How about, let's see here. What about the Glazers? How do the Glazers feel about things?
I feel, well, the way you're saying the name,
I am polluting
it's a snooty way of saying it.
Yes, well, that I am. Yes, what about the Cronkies?
See, the Cronkies come off as someone who would enjoy the violence. Cronky.
Oh,
yes.
What do you think Virginia Hallis McCaskey is going to think?
Hates the violence.
How about the Richardsons?
Richardsons love the violence.
They do they?
Yes.
I just think that there's...
I don't want you to stop.
I mean, I go the Goodwill.
How about the Rosses?
I'm good with you stopping.
Stephen Ross? Okay. How about the Blanks?
I just don't know what that room is like. I don't know if I said to you... Well, I do know that part. But Jerry Jones is a different kind. Like that. Jerry Jones is thinking differently. He's a cowboy. He's a rancher. He's an oil man.
I think they're all thinking differently. To be honest with you, I don't care what your last name is. Like the Steelers, really, the Rooneys. You have James Harrison on your team. Like he is roaming your field on a weekly basis. Like, give me a break.
They are so glad to be having these problems this week. This one, totally manageable. This one, good problems to have. Yes, the optics are bad, and you have some people saying, "Whoa," but you also have people saying, "Football. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with Juju Smith-Schuster?"
And you have this great Mike Mitchell sound, the Pittsburgh safety, defending what he does for a living in a way that's passionate, eloquent, and just about anybody can understand.
This is football. If you want to see flag football, then let's take our pads off. That would make it easier for me, because now I don't got to wear heavy shit. But give us flags for me to pull off, because that way I know what we're playing. You know, I signed up to play full-speed contact football, and we're not doing that. I feel like I got to ask a guy, hey, are you ready for me to hit you right now before I hit you? And that's crazy. I'm going to mess around and get hurt trying to protect an offensive player because he's running an over route. Damn it, your quarterback shouldn't have threw that ball messed up. That happened 2 years ago. I'm not joking at all. Andy Dalton threw a ball to Tyler Eifert 2 years ago. Tyler Eifert had to dive for it. I was aiming for his gut. But if he don't dive, he don't get in the head. That's $50,000 out of my pocket, though, because Andy throws a bad ball. Make that make sense. And at first you're taking our money, but now, I got like Matt Hasselbeck calling me a dirty player and trying my character, and we've never met before. I donate more money to Cincinnati underprivileged kids than probably the people on the Bengals. So don't give me that name. My nephew goes to school there, man. I take all that personally. If you don't know me, if you never had a conversation with me, don't judge us by what you see on football, because football is my competitive side. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so much going on in the game right now. Yes, obviously I'm a little flustered, but I mean, we just got to do better. We got to do better. I said it yesterday. We got to do better as players when we sign the next CBA. We got to get better leadership as who's running the league, because obviously everybody from fans, owners, players are all disappointed in Roger Goodell. We just got to do better. We can't have a guy where you just hand out discipline on how you see fit. There needs to be a set guideline of how we do what we do.
That was a general statement about Andy Dalton he was making, right?
I loved how he punctuated taking out Andy Dalton that way with "make that make sense." There's a rap song in there somewhere. Make that make sense, or song of some sort. Make that make sense is musical.
It has to be really frustrating for the safeties, the cornerbacks, the linebackers, because I was on with Golick and Wingo this morning. They actually showed the play that he was talking about, the throw by Andy Dalton. What is he supposed to do? He's going full speed, not knowing that Andy Dalton's going to throw it over his head.
What he's supposed to do is pay $50,000 for things that look bad for the league. They're punishing.
It wasn't his fault, though.
I know, but they are punishing things that look bad. Stugotz, the guys who were playing Monday night, it wasn't their fault either.
But you can understand his frustration where he's like, hey, I didn't do anything. This is what I signed up to do. The guy threw a bad ball. He's speaking for their fan base, though. We're different. 90% of their fans, I know I just made up a number, are the people that stand up and yell boom when a big hit goes and say, throw up their arms. What are we playing touch? That's their fan base. That's their core. That's where they're making their money.
Let's go ahead and update the poll. Stugotz at LeBatard Show on Twitter. What about the Wilfs? The Wilfs. No?
You really don't have to keep doing this.
Yeah, you don't have to do it. And you're really throwing it all off, because when you do it in that voice, it doesn't sound like any of them like violence.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
Shad Khan. The Maras.
Like, do Jerry Jones in that voice.
The Cronkies. No, the Joneses. Doesn't work the same.
No, it doesn't. Stop doing it. All right, the Twitter poll is brought to you by Upside.com, giving all business travelers the gift of a better travel experience this holiday season. Check them out today at Upside.com. Who is better at giving hot takes, me or Stephen A. Smith? Thank you, audience. 62% of the audience said me. Appreciate that. We got to do that. It'd be fun to do. Just give us some headlines and let Stephen A. and I go at it. Who is right, Mike Mitchell or Matt Hasselbeck? 71% of the audience said Mike Mitchell.
Sorry, Hasselbeck.
Does Doug Marrone eat more bologna than anyone else in the world who's his age? 88% of the audience said yes. Would you watch Giancarlo Stanton play in a team with only Major League Baseball old-timers? 62% of the audience said yes.
I like that idea.
It's a good one. Are Jason Campbell, Brandon Whedon, and Brian Hoyer a poo-poo platter of NFL quarterbacks?
That one's 100%, right?
83% of the audience said yes.
Nothing's ever come back 100%. We've never actually had 100%. Never.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope, we haven't had one. Do you know what Case Keenum's face looks like?
This might be 100% right here.
Well, 62% of the audience said no.
Oh, man.
Was the Talib-Crabtree fight bad for football? 72% of the audience said no. Those are the polls.
All right. How do you feel about the show we did today? It was pretty good until I started doing the Moras. What about the Cronkies? How do the Cronkies feel about the violence?